Hello and welcome to SoBoss. I am Jessie Jean.
I'm Hong the Swole Asian.
And if you are anything like us, we really love food.
Yeah, love food.
I mean, lots of food, and the holiday food, and the potatoes, and the pies, and the gravy, and the stuffing, and all of it, and a lot of it.
And to all the guys out there, I know how you feel. It's cold outside, it's bulking season.
But the reality is that overindulgence in the holiday season can sometimes leave us feeling pretty guilty come the new year. So in this video, we want to talk about how to maybe approach the holidays and all that yummy food with a little more balance and moderation. So this is our video on the psychology of binge eating during the holidays. We're going to share with you some tips on, how to maybe approach it with a little more mindfulness and coming out with a little less extra poundage. We are going to be talking about the psychology of binge eating during the holidays, which I think is going to probably be a pretty interesting topic for many of you. We're going to talk about binge eating kind of from both a male's perspective and a female's perspective. So let's go ahead and start. So how do guys kind of view binge eating?
Well, for guys, we kind of view binge eating as bulking. But let's be honest here, guys. Like, if you eat as much food as possible, any kind of food, with no accountability and no reference on how it affects your body or your goal, that's binging. So let's call it the way it is. What about female? What do they think about binging?
I think from a female's perspective, we definitely take binge eating at more of face value. It's not as socially acceptable for a female to binge because we don't want to go through a bulking season and put on a bunch of excess weight. And it's definitely something that can begin to break down our self-confidence and our self-esteem. It's something that's very shameful. But I know that there's countless females and males who struggle with binge eating. And what's interesting is that during the holiday season, binge eating becomes a lot more socially acceptable, because everybody's overeating. You're having all these family dinners. But the reality is it's not good for our body when we completely overindulge. And there's a way to be flexible through the holidays without totally blowing your goals and putting on a bunch of excess weight like many people do.
Yeah, I completely agree that being flexible is very important. I mean, not just for your mental health sake and for people around you.
Yeah, absolutely.
They enjoy you more when you're able to eat the stuff they eat and hang out and, talk to them.
Right, and not be so tied up in your goals that,
right,
you're not a part of what's going on in your family. And I think it's important to recognize that your fitness journey is going to go through phases. I mean, it's okay to fluctuate in weight. But when you're fluctuating, competitors, we have our off seasons, lifestyle clients might put on a little excess weight in the winter. That's okay. But when you're fluctuating 20 to 30 pounds, throughout the seasons, that's really unhealthy for your body. It's unhealthy for your mind. Your your mental sanity just gets put on the back burner. And so learning to find that balance is something that's super important.
Well, for me, anything in a moderate amount is okay.
Right.
You need it.
Right. But
if you go into extreme on either end, if you're too restrictive or overindulging, it's not healthy for you and your body.
No, not at all.
But my question is, in practical term, how do you stay between the line?
Well, I think, on a practical sense, how do you kind of avoid binging but stay flexible throughout the holidays? I think you have to come back to, the basics. You have to come back to just being mindful. What are your goals? Be mindful of those things and be flexible in how you go about achieving your goals, and remind yourself through the holidays, and be real with yourself. Have this self-awareness that if you totally, overdo it, you're going to put on excess weight, and that's not enjoyable to have to go and work off. Share your goals, okay? Don't pick on foods, send visitors home with leftovers, and don't beat yourself up. Okay, I'm gonna ask you questions, okay?
Okay.
Okay. And another thing you can do, you know, is share your goals with those around you. I mean, don't you feel like when you tell people what your goals are, it holds you more accountable to achieve them?
Right. I mean, of course, like, having close friend, a coach, or even your workout partner to hold you up to the standard you set for yourself is always better than conquer by yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think something else is when you're over at friends and family's house and there's tons of food out, kind of try to avoid picking throughout the day, because all those extra calories add up. You know, enjoy the company that you have in front of you. Enjoy your family, enjoy your friends, and enjoy that meal when it comes time to eat, but try and avoid just all this extra picking, which adds up to a lot of extra calories.
And I really think you have to come back down to not having those food around you when you're done with it.
Right.
So give it away to your friends, your family, anyone who need food.
You can give away your leftovers so they're not sitting around the house, because, out of sight, out of mind. And, one day of relaxed eating isn't going to kill you, but when you have 10 days worth of leftovers, and, that can add up. That can add up in, quite a few extra pounds that you're going to have to work off. And, just go ahead and send your family and friends home each with a little bit of leftovers, so you don't have that temptation of all those extra calories just, right in front of you.
Right. I think that one of the huge problems that we actually have is the fact that we are so optimistic to our goal setting when we're saying, okay, or we downplay how much weight you actually put on during holiday season, that
and downplay how much we eat.
Right, and we don't anticipate that until we try to cut down for the summer, and you realize, like, damn, 20 pounds of losing weight in within 2-3 months. It's a lot. I mean, it's a lot. I mean, it strains your body and you don't realize it.
Right, absolutely. But one thing that's really important that we want to stress is not feeling guilty if you do fall off track, because the cycles of, binging and restricting are really propelled when you start to feel guilty. When you feel guilty, what do? You restrict your calories, you over-exercise, you go to these crazy extremes to try and overcompensate for falling off track. Mm-hmm. But what happens when you restrict for too long? You go crazy.
Right.
And that leads to a binge. And so, you have to give yourself grace and just do your best to try and establish balance and make each holiday season one where you can, commit to be fit through the holiday season more and more, and just practice. It's going to take time, but as long as you're putting effort in, that's what matters. And, in the end, what's most important?
In the end, you got to worry about, your health, your family. I mean, your diet is important too, but compared to your health and your family, you don't have that. Like, what's the point of doing the whole thing?
Right. So I think we just want to remind you guys that balance and moderation is key during the holiday season. So we appreciate you guys tuning in for this video on the psychology of binge eating. If you have any questions for us, you can leave it in the comment section below, and make sure to subscribe to our channel.